Well, g'day. Welcome to our final week of chapel, and well done making it to the end of this year. Semesters 1 and 2 have been pretty full on this year, haven't they? We started off with normal face-to-face teaching, then we went to fully online, and now we're doing this hybrid approach, which is probably going to become the new normal. So we've got some changes coming up in 2021 in the way that we do our teaching here, and you'll hear more about that very soon. But I just want to say well done to the students and to friends of the college just for your interest, your support and encouragement throughout what has been quite a difficult year. And we've done well. We've kept our heads above water all the way through. So good job. I look forward to seeing you next year and welcoming new students. And for now, I'm just going to hand over to John, who's going to do the Bible reading, and then you're going to see me again for my last sermon for the year. See you soon.
Our reading today is from Mark 12, verses 28 through 34. That's Mark 12, 28 through 34. Hear the word of God. And one of the scribes came up and heard them disputing with one another, and seeing that he answered them well, asked him, "Which commandment is the first of all?" And Jesus answered, "The first is, 'Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." And the scribe said to him, "You are right, teacher. You have truly said that he is one, and that there is no other but he. And to love him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the strength, and to love one's neighbor as oneself, is much more than all the whole burnt offerings and sacrifices." And when Jesus saw that he answered wisely, he said to him, "You are not far from the kingdom of God." And after that, no one dared to ask him any question. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Sunday morning in Duckville, and the bells were tolling over the town. All the ducks rolled over and waddled over their wardrobes, grabbed their Sunday best and put it on, and they waddled on out the door, waddled down the street, greeted each other, and as ducks do, and said hello, and waddled on up to Duckville Uniting, where they greeted the minister, I think his name was Bill, and they waddled on down the aisle, waddled into the pews, and sat down ready for Sunday's sermon and Sunday's worship service. And they sang their songs, and they listened to Bill, who preached an excellent sermon that morning. He preached, "Ducks, you don't have to waddle anymore. You can fly. You've got wings. God gave you wings, and you are free to fly. No fences can hold you back. No barns can hold you in. You are free to fly." And the ducks said, "Amen. Amen, brother. Preach." And as the sermon came to an end, and the service came to its conclusion, those ducks waddled back out of the church and waddled home again. Bit of a sobering story, that one, and I'll come back to it at the end. And I'm sorry if you've heard it before. But let's just come back to the passage that we heard read to us earlier in Mark 12. The context in that chapter is very much a context of debate. You've got Pharisees and Herodians and Sadducees and scribes or teachers of the law, and Jesus is debating with them all. These are all people who know the scriptures really well, what we would call the Old Testament. And Jesus is in a pretty ferocious debate with a Pharisee saying, "You are wrong." And a scribe comes along and is impressed by Jesus. And he thinks, "I'd like to get in on this." Now, the scribes knew the Bible really well. They're the ones who write the Bible down and pass it on to the next generation. So literally word for word, letter for letter, they know the Bible well. And his question is a really important one. Which rule comes first? Which commandment is the first of all? Now, what kind of question is this? Well, as all Bible nerds know, there are 613 laws in the Old Testament, and in early Judaism, debate was quite common over the priority of those laws, because you've got do not murder and you've got do not eat rock badgers. You've got don't worship other gods, and you've got don't trim the corners of your beard. And by the way, if anyone has any insight about where the corners are, I would love to know. So just hit me with an email. But this is not an abstract question. It's not like asking a Star Wars fan which planet Yoda comes from, for instance. Dagobah. Correct. Correct. It's not a trivial pursuit type question, and it's not a trap. You'll know that the Pharisees were often trying to trap Jesus with questions. This is a practical question. The question of which law comes first is like asking, which law do I use as a lens through which to read all of the rest of the law? And Jesus' response is Deuteronomy 6:4, a verse that has been a daily prayer for Jews since the 2nd century. It's called the Shema because the first word is Shema. Listen, hear, obey. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel, the Lord our God is the one and only. More of a statement than a command, but what follows is a command to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Now, there are two things that might strike you as a little bit odd about that command. The first is that it seems to be a command to love. And if love is a feeling, can it be commanded? Can you command someone to be in love? Well, no, you can't. I still remember my youth pastor telling me when I thought about what I thought was love, and saying to me, it's not really love. It's not what you think about, being in love. It's infatuation. You're actually in love with the feeling of having someone else notice you. And that took all the wind out of that for me. Lovely. Thank you very much, youth pastor. But you can't command someone to be in love, but you can command someone to make a decision to commit to someone else, as you do in a covenant. I mean, when we make a covenant relationship, when we marry someone, we promise that for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, we will stick by their side. We will be the person who is always dependable and close by, always on their side. And that is a promise that you can make, because feelings do come and go in a marriage. Sometimes it's warm and fuzzy, sometimes it's frustration, but that decision is solid, the decision to love someone. Now, that's the first thing about the command. The second thing, which is related to it, is why are we being commanded to love Yahweh and to choose Yahweh, I should say, if Yahweh is the one and only? I mean, what sense does it make to choose something if there is no other choice? It sort of reminds me of when you're on a camp or something and you're asked to line up and get a sandwich. And you line up, and by the time you finally get to the front, you're aware that there's not many options left. And someone says, it's ham and cheese or cheese and ham. What would you like? It's not really a choice, is it? Is that what this is? Yahweh is the one and only true God. Choose Yahweh. Well, it's interesting because the Old Testament prophets, when they talk about the gods and God, they say two things really clearly. On one hand, they say, yes, Yahweh is the one and only true God. All others are powerless pieces of wood or metal or stone. They're false gods. They can't hear you when you pray. They can't smell the incense that you put before them. They can't see you and your needs. And they're certainly not powerful enough to do anything for you. They're useless. They're not worth your time. Isaiah mocks them. He says, you create a fire out of half of this piece of wood, and then you sculpt a god out of the other half. It doesn't make any sense. So on one hand, the prophets make it very clear there is one true God, and the rest are not worth your time. But on the other hand, the prophets consistently make it very clear that false gods are incredibly dangerous. They're dangerous. They might be completely powerless, but they're dangerous. Why? Because they pull your attention away from Yahweh, from the Lord. They steal your thinking. They steal your creativity, your longing, your striving, everything that you have. And in fact, the number one theme in the preaching of the Old Testament prophets is idolatry. Beware of idols. And that's still the case today because we all worship idols. We are all idolaters, whether we use that term and think of it that way or not. I'm not just talking about the ancient world. I know we don't go to shrines and we don't light incense or make little offerings to little pieces of wood because we think of that as very primitive, don't we? However, we still worship useless little bits of metal and plastic. You know we do. They're called smartphones. And these things are the biggest threat to our wholehearted commitment to God. They steal our thinking. They steal our time, our prayer time for sure. They steal our creativity. And although they're not, we may not make sacrifices to wooden idols in the hope that our flocks or our household will be more fertile this spring, we do stare into these screens for hours on end, hoping for another thumbs up or another little love heart or another so-called friend. And we measure our worth, unfortunately, by those silly little icons. It's a shame. We measure our worth as human beings by these little pictures that appear on our idols. Are we more sophisticated than those in the ancient world? Have we progressed? Hardly. While I'm on this, make sure you watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix. The Social Dilemma, really worth your time. But let's get back to our scribe. After answering the scribe's question, Jesus sneaks in a second commandment. He says, and the second is like it, love each other. Love others as you love yourself. And it's a clever response because Jesus makes it clear that loving God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength and loving the people around you are two sides of the same coin. Because he sneaks that commandment in and then says, there is no commandment, singular, greater than these, plural. In other words, these two things can't be separated. You can't say you choose to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength and not also choose to love people. Right, so the two go together, and we could say a lot more about that, but I'll move on. The scribe agrees. This is incredible. I don't know if you realize how amazing this is. This is the one point in all of the Gospels, all four Gospels, the only time that Jesus and a scribe are in agreement. The scribe affirms, yes, Yahweh is the one and only true God. Yes, we should therefore love him with everything we have, with our longing, with our thinking, with our striving, and to do this and to love our neighbour is more important than going to church. In his words, than burnt offerings in a temple worship context. But yes, loving neighbour and loving God more important than going to church on Sunday. But the strange thing about all of this is that Jesus' response to this scribe, who completely agrees with him, is to say, you've answered wisely and you are not far from the kingdom. Not far. Jesus, he's in complete agreement. This scribe has affirmed everything that you've said. So why is he just not far from the kingdom? It feels a little bit insulting or a little bit harsh that Jesus would just say, well done, you got it all right, you're not far from the kingdom. What's he got to do? What's this guy got to do? Why is he not in the kingdom? And the answer is that it doesn't matter how much you agree with what the Bible says or even means. The scribe has to commit to following Jesus. You must become a disciple to be in the kingdom. And this is a powerful challenge, isn't it? I've found this to be personally challenging for many years as I've studied the Bible and taught the Bible. Giving mental assent to ideas, agreeing with them that they're good ideas is not enough. And I guess I'm wondering at the end of this year, with all the different things that we've learnt and heard over the year, perhaps you're like this scribe in some ways. You might like what Jesus has to say to you. You might like what you've heard Jesus say to others. And so you draw near to hear more. You might want to ask Jesus a question or two of your own. And you might agree wholeheartedly with what Jesus says and does. And if you do, that's fantastic. But it's not enough. Jesus is calling us, each of us, to do something much more than just agree with him. He's calling us to follow. Let me pray. Dear Jesus, this year, 2020, has been a difficult one. It's been filled with change and challenge. As we come to the end of the year and as we look to 2021, we ask that you would give us courage to choose you, to follow you, to act on our convictions, on the things that we believe. I pray that 2021 would be a year of change and challenge again. And we want to confess to you right now, we choose you. We ask you to continue to speak into our lives, to ruffle our feathers, to call us into new things. Amen.